All right, I'm back with another one. I'm gonna try to get around to doing. This is my second, maybe 3 videos, and get them all up. Because again, like I mentioned in my last video, I don't know what my schedule is going to be like this week, and I really wanted to get these next 2 videos out, including the previous video I just uploaded. So I wanted to get these 3 videos out. So this video is to my brother SCAB over at choirBoyz Cutlery. He put out a video today. It's called "Building a Strong Knife Community." It's the title of the video, and in it he tells us a story about a dream that he had, and I left him a comment and let him know that I had something very, very similar to that dream happen in my life. And so that you guys aren't just staring at the background and nothing here, I figured it'd be appropriate to bring out one of SCAB's favorite knives. I can't do it the way he does it and the way he says it, so I'll just call it what it is, the Raja 2. This is also one of my favorite knives. It's humongous. It's a humongous knife. It's a 6-inch blade, but the way this thing disappears in your pocket, man, it carries like a 3-inch bladed knife. This thing is amazing. I love my Raja 2. I have the Raja 3 also, but I love this knife. But anyway, again, that's just so you ain't staring off into the background and nothing. So in SCAB's video, again, it's titled "Building a Strong Knife Community." He tells about a dream that he's had a couple times, and in this dream, a friend of his who has since passed comes to him, and in the dream, SCAB's building a fence, and the fence is, I'm paraphrasing here, and SCAB, forgive me if I mess this up at all. I'll try my best not to. But he says in this dream that he has, and he's had it a few times, in the dream he's working on a fence, and the fence is all torn up, it's all tattered, and his friend asks him what he's doing, and he tells him that he's mending the fence. And he says in the dream he looks off, and he sees the darkness. His friend tells him, hey, you're not going to beat the darkness, but mend what you can. And when he told that story, I got goosebumps, because I want to share my own story. Very, very similar, although mine wasn't a dream. It happened in real life, like while I was awake. And it goes like this. So back in 2009, I was living pretty recklessly. I was still, I was back and forth in and out of my mother's house. She has now since passed away. She passed away in 2012. And anybody who knows me and knows the childhood and the upbringing that I had, I've got stories which I do fully intend to share a lot of those stories here on this channel. I have stories that can make grown men cry, plain and simple. I'm not saying that I had it worse than anyone else. I'm not saying I had it better than anyone else, but I've seen some shit in my time. We'll put it that way. So one night, me and a bunch of my boys were hanging out, and we're drinking, and you know, it's a pretty calm night. We're playing some dominoes, playing some spades, we're drinking a couple beers, taking some shots. We're just hanging out. And a friend of mine, his name's Kenny, he goes, I need to talk to you. I'm like, all right. So he's like, come on, walk with me. All right. So I walk with him. We walk into the middle of the street. So where I was hanging out was at a close friend of mine's house, a couple houses down from my mom's house, maybe about 2 blocks. I grew up in Jersey, originally from Jersey. 23 years of my life, I lived in New Jersey, born and raised. So the street that my mom lived on was not a very busy street, but it got a fair amount of traffic. And at one end of the street was a major highway. For those of you familiar with North Jersey, the highway is Route 1 and 9. And at the other end of the street, so it kind of was like a little cut-through street, little back street. At the other end of my mom's street was a road called St. George Avenue. St. George Avenue runs from, I want to say Perth Amboy all the way through, I think, Elizabeth. Then it might pick up again after Elizabeth, but it runs through Perth Amboy, Woodbridge, Avenel, Rahway, Linden, Elizabeth, Roselle, a bunch of different cities, towns. So anyway, so the point of that is the street that my mom lived on was pretty much in the middle of two of these very busy streets, so it did get a fair amount of traffic. So he says, come on. So we go and we stand in the middle of the street. He puts his arms, he's standing in front of me, he puts his two hands on my shoulders, and he looks me dead in my eyes, and he says, look, what I'm about to tell you, I don't know why I'm telling you this, and it's not me talking. He wasn't a very religious guy, he wasn't a very spiritual guy. I don't think before this night I've ever even heard him mention God, or anything about God, or faith, or anything like that. So, puts his hands on my shoulders, and he says, look to your right. I look to my right, and that happened to be the direction of my mom's house. There were street lights from where we were hanging out at my boy's house to my mom's house. There had to be at least, I would say, a good 7 or 8, maybe as much as 10 street lights on any given night. So the street was pretty well lit. Well, that particular night, when I turned my head to the right, it was completely dark. The entire street was completely dark. So he says, okay, now look to your left. I look to my left, all lit up. Bright light, all the street lights at that end of the street were working. I could see car headlights and tail lights at the end of the street going up and down the other roads. Lights in houses, a couple businesses at the end of the street. There was a bar down at the end of the road with a strip club. Everything lit up. And he says, you know what that means? And I said, no, I have no idea. What the hell? Why? Why are we standing in the middle of the street? And he said, look, man, you don't belong here anymore. It's time for you to go. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And he was like, man, you got potential. Don't get stuck here like the rest of us are going to get stuck here. You can do things in life. And I was kind of like, the ringleader of everybody. Everybody hung out at my house or hung out. Not my house, it was my mom's house because I was already an adult pretty much, but it was pretty much everybody flocked to me. Everybody hung out at my house. It was a safe place to be, and we were all, we were a tight-knit group. There was a bunch of us, but we were pretty tight-knit. All good friends, close friends. But he said, look, man, you can do things in life. You can go places in life. You don't belong here with us. You got to get out of here. You got to move. You got to move on. You got to get out of here because all that's back there is darkness. And if you stay around, that's all you're going to get. And that's all your life is going to turn out to be is darkness and more darkness. And again, I was living pretty recklessly, making bad choices and decisions and not mistakes because I knew what I was doing. Like SCAB said in his video, they weren't mistakes because I knew what I was doing. I did make some mistakes and I made some bad choices, but I was old enough and wise enough to know better, so I can't say that they were all mistakes. That night never left my mind. Here it is, 2021, getting to the midpoint of 2021, and I still remember that night like it was yesterday. The entire time we were standing in the middle of that road, not a single car came, not one. So, shortly after that, I want to say maybe a couple months later, my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, we moved. We moved about 25 minutes or so away and got out of, the neighborhood where my mom lived and got away from everybody, and nobody was happy about it. Not even my mom. Here I am starting to make better choices and really realize that, hey, I'm getting older now, and if I want to have a better life, I need to start making better choices, smarter choices. And when I say all hell broke loose, I mean all hell broke loose when I left. Everybody started fighting. People were messing with other people's girlfriends, and it was just chaos. It was nuts. It was bad. It was a bad situation, turned worse, and believe it or not, everybody blamed me for it for a long time. A lot of people. There were some people who didn't blame me, which were obviously people wiser than me, and the people who did blame me because they saw what I did and why I was doing it. And they agreed that was the best thing that I could have ever done, and it was what had to be done if I wanted to make a better life for myself. And for, again, at the time she was just my girlfriend, but now we're married. We've been married for 10 years. And that's my light versus dark. That's my, I call that the light versus dark moment. The title of this video is going to be Light versus Dark. And when Scab told the story about his dream, it really reminded me of that story, because that was a point in my life where, one of the points in my life where I had to make a major decision, and it was scary as shit to make. It was a very scary decision because, again, like I said, there were a whole lot of us that hung out together, but we had known each other since, elementary school days. So these all the people that I was around and hung out with were people I knew my entire life. And I was just moving away from all of them, moving away from my mom. Even though I had a bad situation at home, it was still my mom. It was still, a house that I had grown up in. Not grown up in so much, but the house that we were living in at the time, we moved into when I was in 8th grade. Graduated high school in that house, and, it was just a big life-changing moment. But if I were to go back and get the chance to do it all over again, I wouldn't do a single thing differently. So that's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to have a lot more stories like that, like I said. I'm going to link SCAB's video down in the description. The video, again, is titled Building a Strong Knife Community, but the link will be listed below. Thank you guys for listening. Again, this is like, therapeutic for me to sit and talk, even if it's not per se about a knife, but a video about a knife is what inspired me to make this video. And look, there's a knife. So you guys be well. I'll talk to you again soon. Aloha.